Colin Cowherd did it again. He can't stop talking about us. He can't stop talking about JJ. He can't stop talking about the Minnesota Vikings. And he has a lot of thoughts on number 9. What's going on, everybody? My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome in to Vikings Now by Chat Sports. Cowherd has had some podcasts recently. He's been talking on the herd, and he is doubling down on his take on JJ McCarthy. And then also on the tail half of today's show, Bill Simmons, Diana Rossini had a pretty interesting exchange talking about JJ McCarthy. So we'll talk about all that on today's show. But before we do so, we got to show him some love. I want to see 1,000 nines down below in the comments section. I know this video will at least get 1,000 views. So if you guys are watching, and even if you don't have a YouTube account, go make a YouTube account and give me a 9 down below in the comments section. I want to see, give me 2,000 comments on today's show. Let's blow it out of the water. So type those 9s down below. All right, let's talk about it. Colin Cowherd continues to criticize our guy, JJ McCarthy. I'll give you guys what Colin has to say, then I'll give my own thoughts. But Cowherd, you guys are going to get a kick out of this, saying there's so much mystery here. Why does Minnesota keep flirting with other quarterbacks? And there's too many conflicting reports on JJ McCarthy. There's a lot of stuff I just don't know. I feel sometimes there's a little bit of a spin job here. To be a great franchise quarterback, there has to be a wow trait. Mahomes, arm talent. Josh Allen, sheer force of size. Lamar Jackson, athletic ability. Matthew Stafford is one of the great arms in the last 30 years. Burrow, composure and accuracy. Herbert, big, strong, power arm. C.J. Stroud, accuracy. Jalen Hurts, strength, pound for pound. Kyler Murray, elusiveness. How about this? J.J. McCarthy, winning. This guy's lost 4 football games since he has been 14 years old, starting. And also, I could say this about McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy, arm talent. He has a stupid arm. And it's so funny. You just go turn on the tape of him back at Michigan. It is clear as day. This guy's got a whip of an arm. He can attack the middle of the field at a high level. He's got so much velocity on there. And also, even when he escapes outside the pocket, some guys can have a massive arm from inside the pocket, but once they get outside, we'll see that decrease. Not with McCarthy. He has fantastic form. He's just got fantastic technique. That's why even though he's outside the pocket, he's able to maintain that arm talent. But I already knew it was coming. I talked about this about 3 months ago where I had a feeling once we started inching closer to the season, Cowherd would throw this take out there where he's already starting to compare him to Brock Purdy. And he's actually, what's so funny about this? He is now saying the Vikings have a top 3 roster in the NFL. He says outside of the Eagles and the Ravens, the Vikings have the best roster outside of quarterback. He's not saying that because he believes it. He is saying that for when the Vikings potentially win a lot of games this year, and J.J. McCarthy, even if he's putting up great stats, all he's going to say is this. You got Kevin O'Connell. You got 2 good receivers, 2 good tackles, 2 good running backs. I could play in that system. You already know what's coming. He's going to continue to compare J.J. McCarthy to guys like Brock Purdy, and that's just how it's going to be until maybe J.J. McCarthy changes it. But this is the part that drives me crazy here. Cowherd on J.J. McCarthy. Go read the scouting reports. He doesn't have a big arm. He does not have a big arm. His arm is considered modest. It is a middle-of-the-pack arm. Middle-of-the-pack escapability. In fact, they question his release. I would love to know what Cowherd has to say about release points in terms of being an NFL quarterback. He has no idea what he's talking about. His release at times can be a little floating. I don't get McCarthy's wow trait. I don't see the wow. I think it is completely ridiculous to say J.J. McCarthy does not have an elite arm. If you say J.J. McCarthy does not have a big arm, you are just telling me and you are telling everybody who is listening to you that you just did not watch this guy play. And he also continues to say he always had a lead. He was always up in games. He always had the best roster out there on the football field. Yes, Michigan was absolutely loaded. But also, he forgets, in the Rose Bowl, college football semifinal, J.J. McCarthy taking on Nick Saban in Alabama. 20-13 game, 4 minutes left. What did number 9 go and do? Scored a touchdown and then beat Nick Saban in overtime. Was that because of the roster? Was that because of the run game? He was throwing the ball a whole lot there. But if you legitimately say J.J. McCarthy does not have a big arm, you're telling me you just did not watch him at all during his time in Michigan. But J.J. had a response to that. This is what he had to say. I forget who asked this, but they were saying, hey, J.J., I heard your arm talent's not that good. And J.J. kind of joked around and said, that's a great question. I would say a lot of it just comes with the stigma of playing at Michigan and not throwing the ball a lot. But at the same time, it could be my frame. And they don't see a 6'5", 240-pound guy. So how can he throw it 61 miles an hour at the combine and all that? But at the end of the day, it's going to show up. And the people that know. I love that last part where he's kind of talking smack a little bit, where it's like, hey, the people that know, they know. And the people that don't know, everybody's going to see soon. Like, I'm going to trust the guys that are there. I'm going to trust T.J. Hawkinson comparing him to Matthew Stafford. I'm going to trust Harrison Phillips comparing him to Josh Allen. It's just ludicrous that anybody could possibly say and watch McCarthy and say he doesn't have a big arm. You can question his accuracy. That's 100%. You can question his ability to layer the football. That's 2 red flags of his game. He also gets a little reckless at times, but the arm talent narrative, it's just ludicrous. And also the escapability, that's going to be a weapon for him this year. His legs, I honestly think, will help raise his floor early on because he will gamble with the football a little bit. But I could talk about this for hours and hours, but let me ask you guys this here first. Predict J.J. McCarthy's stats for this season. How many yards, how many touchdowns, how many interceptions? I'm going to go 3,700 yards. I'll go more than that. I'll go 3,900 yards, 28 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. That's what I'll go with for J.J. McCarthy. But you guys get your predictions in down below. Now talk about what Diana Rossini, Bill Simmons had to say on QB1 here in Minnesota in just a second. But before we do so, I got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that's Factor Meals. Eat smart at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off and use code VikingsChat50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code VikingsChat50off at factormeals.com for 50% off plus free shipping. Now, between covering the Minnesota Vikings here at Chat Sports and my summer plans, sometimes all I've got is a couple of minutes for a meal. And Factor helps me eat smarter with tasty, chef-prepared meals that are dietitian approved and delivered right to my door. And now with more than 65 weekly meals made for how I live and what I like to eat, I've got even more ways to fit in a real meal wherever the day takes me. More variety, more meals, that is Factor Meals. Choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. And you can also support your wellness goals with Factor. Enjoy even more GLP-1 friendly meals and new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and good-for-you fats. Factor Meals completely changed my life. I love it. I use it almost every single day of my life. And if you guys give them a chance, trust me, you will as well. So eat smart at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off and use code VikingsChat50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. It's code VikingsChat50off at factormeals.com for 50% off plus free shipping. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. All right, we got some more Colin Cowherd, J.J. McCarthy slander, and then also an interesting conversation between Diana Rossini and Bill Simmons. But Cowherd had this interesting take where he thinks the Vikings are putting fake reports out there on J.J. McCarthy. This is what he said. Do I think J.J. McCarthy is wowing everybody at camp? No, I don't. Vikings fans are going to be disappointed. There's almost this protective bubble or sort of an elevation of what he's doing. There is a lot of lifting up of J.J. McCarthy. Yes. I wasn't seeing the vision, Colin. All the positive J.J. McCarthy reports are just fake. All the beat reporters, Alec Lewis, Will Regetz, they're all putting that out there just to make J.J. McCarthy feel good about himself. It's ludicrous. It is absolutely ludicrous. Like, listen, you can have a take on JJ. I'm not saying everybody's got to think he's going to be great because you shouldn't. Like, there are some concerns with his game. But like this just almost feels personal, where you're saying these reports are fake and they're just to put confidence in himself. Like, and even if that is true, where the Vikings do want to raise his confidence, that's fine. That probably happens for so many other NFL teams. So I just think that's an insane thing to say. But I do want to get you guys this little exchange. Shout out to producer Dylan. This graphic looks sick. Rossini and Simmons, they had a little conversation here. It was Simmons had Rossini on for like an NFL season preview, and they had this bit where at the end of the show, Simmons wanted Rossini to go into like a "is that real" situation. And this was an extremely awkward exchange. So Rossini said the Vikings seem thrilled about JJ, that he's the guy. And then there was like an awkward pause. Simmons goes, okay. And then Diana, it's like, is this real? And then another awkward pause. And then Simmons was saying, what else are they going to say? And Rossini goes, it's a lot. And then there was another weird pause. And Simmons was like, he didn't play football for a year. And it was like Diana was kind of just like, she wanted to get to the point that she thinks, like, kind of like what Colin was saying, where they're just kind of raising his confidence. Like, everybody thinks he's doing great. I just thought that was weird. Like, there's just weirdness with what's going on and how he's covered. It is so different from any other quarterback, at least young quarterback in the league. Like Drake May, his PR through the roof. Honestly, the two criticized guys from that class are going to be squaring off Monday night. It's Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy, but that was just classic. And I guarantee you this, if J.J. has a bad game, I would just probably recommend the Vikings fans, or if you're a J.J. McCarthy stan, probably stay off Twitter. People are going to be taking victory laps, but that's also just the nature of media at this point. But I can't wait for it, man. I think J.J. is going to be successful. But again, it's going to take some time. It's going to take time. He will have some stinkers this upcoming year, and we just need to be prepared to go through it with him. But, you know, at the end of the day, let's just hope we have our franchise quarterback. Let's hope in 5 years from now, we're all talking about, like, man, do you remember JJ's first joint practice versus the Patriots? Do you remember his first start Monday night against the Bears? You remember that terrible pick he threw? Now look at him now. So it's going to be a process. Enjoy this. I'm telling you, we got a franchise quarterback here in Minnesota, but let's just not all bury him after a couple of bad games to start the year. All right, and we appreciate all of you guys watching today's show. If you guys made it to the end, just give me a skull down below in the comments section. Shout out to all the real ones for tuning in. See you guys next time. Let's go Vikes.